Moneybagg Yo's Side of Town, while having a diss song out about Moneybagg Yo.
Yeah.
But whole time, allegedly, right, y'all were set up.
I think he most definitely threw a shot. They saying that he probably be talking about Bag. Nah, you ain't talking about Bag. A Bag sharing in music.
Finesse2Tymes just made a move that's got all of Memphis paying close attention. What's going on with Moneybagg Yo isn't just light tension anymore. The situation has turned into something way deeper than rap rivalry. These two came up together, same grind, same struggle, moving like brothers. But somewhere along the way, everything flipped. Finesse started throwing shots at Moneybagg's music and even mentioned Ari. And if you know how Memphis works, that kind of move can spark real problems fast. What really shattered their bond runs way deeper than people realize. We're talking bread gang contracts, street loyalty, young Dolph history, and family ties falling apart. This story is layered, full of twists, and feels like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Social media's been locked in watching them trade jabs, but most people don't know the real backstory. They don't know about the long nights in the studio, the group they built from nothing, or how tight they were before everything fell apart. So now it's time to lay it out straight. No rumors, just facts. Back in 2012 and 2013, that's when it all really started. Finesse2Tymes, Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngsta, and a few other Memphis artists linked up to form MGU, Memphis Grinders, underrated.
But
And this wasn't just a music collab. These were brothers chasing the same vision, hitting clubs, trying to put the city on together. For a while, everything was solid. They were grinding non-stop, pressing CDs, pushing their music, even pulling up to Walmart just to get their sound heard. This was before the fame, before the money, before the drama. But looking back now, the cracks were already there. Finesse later said Moneybagg was always the smooth one in the crew. When they'd hit clubs or handle business, Bag was usually trying to dip early, staying clear of anything too reckless. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody isn't built for the same energy. But in Memphis, those differences in mindset can turn into tension real quick, and that's exactly what happened. Fast forward a bit, and when Finesse got locked up, everything changed. While he was inside, Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngsta both blew up. Youngsta got signed. Bag got signed. The city was celebrating their rise. Meanwhile, Finesse was watching it all from behind bars, seeing his day ones living the life he was supposed to be part of. When Finesse came home though, he wasn't starting from zero. His track G-Train was already pulling over 1,000,000 views, and his other songs were buzzing on SoundCloud. He had motion before reconnecting with Bag. Then Moneybagg showed love and brought him into Bread Gang, his imprint under Yo Gotti's CMG. On the surface, it looked like a real reunion, one brother helping another win. But behind that clean image, things were way more complicated. Finesse later admitted he joined Bread Gang to show unity in the city, to push peace instead of problems. Loyalty runs deep with him, and he genuinely thought it was the right move. What he didn't realize was that the situation would slowly start feeling less like a blessing and more like a setup. According to people close to the situation, even family, Moneybagg leaned heavily on Finesse's creativity in the studio. When Bag hit a wall or couldn't find the right flow, Finesse was the call. 2Tymes was always showing up, thinking it was brotherhood, thinking it was teamwork, but looking back, he sees it different now. It wasn't about loyalty, it was about what he could provide. And that realization hit hard, especially when you think someone's riding for you the same way you're riding for them. But it didn't stop there. This goes way deeper than studio sessions or label politics. The real tension came from the young Dolph situation, and that's a chapter of Memphis history outsiders don't fully understand. Moneybagg Yo and Dolph had real issues. Publicly known, representing opposite sides of the city, but Finesse had a relationship with Dolph long before any of that. Even while tied to Bread Gang, he still had respect and history with Dolph. That didn't sit right with a lot of people, especially those connected to CMG. Even though Finesse tried to stay neutral, just being cool with Dolph made things shaky. It was like walking on thin ice. From Bag's perspective, loyalty meant picking a side. From Finesse's perspective, it meant keeping it real with everyone. In Memphis though, those lines blur fast. And behind closed doors, whispers started spreading that Finesse's connection to Dolph was causing friction inside the camp. When Dolph's situation in the city got heavier, that pressure came right back on Finesse. The studio energy changed. Calls slowed up. The vibe felt cold. What once felt like family started feeling competitive. Finesse noticed it. He was still working, still delivering verses, but the love wasn't the same. That's when he started realizing Bread Gang wasn't what he thought it was. Then things really twisted. Word got around that Dolph had made slick comments about MGU, saying they weren't built like that. Finesse went live and said he'd confront Dolph if it came to that, standing up for his people. Even though Dolph was once his friend, that was pure loyalty. But instead of respect, it caused more issues. Moneybagg didn't see it as riding for the team. He saw it as unnecessary heat, especially since around that same time, Bagg had just dropped a feature with Dolph on I Need a Plug. That collaboration ended up giving Moneybagg Yo a serious boost. It helped him level up fast, and a lot of his biggest records dropped right after that moment. From Finesse's point of view, that felt like a punch to the gut. He was willing to stand up for his brother's name, even if it meant creating tension with Dolph's side, while Moneybagg was quietly making business plays with the same person. To Finesse, that didn't feel solid. It felt confusing, maybe even a little fake. That's when he really started feeling like something wasn't right between them. According to No Love, the two even sat down with a few respected OGs from North Memphis to try and talk things through. The goal was to clear the air, but instead it only made the gap wider. Finesse stood 10 toes down on what he said, making it clear he wasn't walking anything back. From his perspective, if words were said, they needed to be addressed. Moneybagg, on the other hand, felt like Finesse was blowing things out of proportion and putting business relationships at risk. That's when it clicked for Finesse. To Bagg, business and money always came before brotherhood. And once that realization hit, nothing felt the same anymore. Now let's talk about the Bread Gang contract situation, because this is where things really went left. Finesse has spoken on this multiple times, and you can hear the frustration every time he brings it up. He felt stuck in a deal that wasn't benefiting him the way it should have. According to Finesse, Moneybagg wasn't fully backing his music or pushing his projects. When you're signed to someone's label, you expect real support, promotion, visibility, and growth. But instead of feeling elevated, Finesse felt boxed in. In one interview, he explained how he eventually found out the contract was basically done without any real conversation. No sit down, no explanation, just over. That hurt, especially after everything he felt he gave. Loyalty, creativity, time, and effort. He truly believed in the vision. He wanted them to win together. He even said that if things hadn't fallen apart, they could have created something legendary for Memphis, a joint project that would have meant way more than just numbers. But what hurt Finesse the most wasn't the paperwork. It was the feeling that Moneybagg never really acknowledged his growth. He believes Bagg still sees him as who he used to be, not who he's become. Finesse admitted he's made mistakes in the past, and that some of those choices cost him. Real relationships and losing Moneybagg is one of the ones that still weighs on him. He says he's learning, evolving, and trying to move smarter in the industry, even when that old street mindset clashes with business. The part that really had people talking was when Finesse claimed Moneybagg doesn't want to deal with him anymore out of fear that he might slip back into old habits. According to Finesse, Bagg is still holding on to the past, but Finesse insists that's not who he is anymore, especially when it comes to Bagg. Still, once trust is damaged, fixing it becomes almost impossible, and this situation proved that. After the contract situation fell apart, things didn't stay private for long. They went public fast, and when it did, it got messy. It all kicked off when Moneybagg unfollowed Finesse on Instagram. To some people that might seem small, but in the public eye, that move spoke loud. Fans noticed immediately, and everyone knew something serious was going on. Finesse didn't ignore it. He went live and spoke his truth, calling out what he saw as emotional moves and online shade. Finesse has always been direct. He's never been the type to duck smoke or let narratives get built without responding. He made it clear he stands on his own and doesn't need protection or cosign. During one of his rants, he started revealing behind-the-scenes details that surprised a lot of people. He claimed that back in the studio days, when Bagg struggled to find a flow or needed inspiration, he'd lean on Finesse. According to him, he was putting in heavy work while Bagg played things more cautious. Then Finesse crossed a sensitive line by questioning Moneybagg's authenticity, something that hits especially hard in Memphis, where image and reputation matter. From there, everything spiraled. What started as quiet tension turned into a full-blown fallout the entire city could feel. Fans, bloggers, and artists all started picking sides. A brotherhood that once felt unbreakable turned into one of the most talked about rifts in Southern hip-hop. After that, Finesse shifted his focus. No more waiting for support that wasn't coming. He locked in, dropped music, connected with new producers, and let his grind speak. Every release carried more emotion, frustration, pride, hunger, like he was finally saying everything he'd been holding in. Meanwhile, Moneybagg continued his run, dropping hits, staying booked, and keeping things polished. But no matter how far both tried to move forward, the public kept linking their names. Every song, every cryptic post sparked speculation. That's how deep this story runs. People close to both sides say peace isn't impossible, but right now, that bridge looks fragile. Too much has been said. Too many moves have been made. Even fans admit it. When Finesse and Bag were aligned, Memphis felt electric. Despite all the drama, Finesse has shown growth. He's caught himself pulling back at times, saying he wants to do things for the culture, not tear it down. He's even joked that because of his name, people expect him to be sneaky, but that was never his intention. He says he's trying to build something real for the city. Still, the tension never fully disappeared. It just became quieter. Subliminal posts, indirect lyrics, competitive shots. That is, until recently, when Finesse previewed a new track mentioning Moneybagg Yo's girlfriend, Ari. In Memphis culture, that's crossing a serious line. Speaking on someone's partner isn't normal rap talk, it's seen as straight disrespect. Once that boundary is crossed, there's no easy way back. And that's when this stopped sounding like music competition and started feeling personal. Word on the street is, a lot of people felt Finesse went too far this time. Fans and people around the city immediately started debating whether Finesse should have kept everything strictly on wax instead of letting it turn personal. Because once emotion mixes with pride, situations can spiral quick. Right now, a lot of folks are hoping cooler heads step in before things go any further. Everybody knows you can trade bars and still keep it professional. But once family or personal lives get pulled into it, the energy shifts completely. Let's be real. Ari is a public figure on her own. She has her own platform, her own audience, and her own identity outside of any rap drama. So when her name got dragged into the situation, it put her in a spotlight she never asked for. It also put pressure on Moneybagg to respond, because in Memphis culture, staying silent can sometimes be taken the wrong way. At that point, it started feeling like history repeating itself. Memphis has seen this movie before. What starts as music competition slowly turns personal, words get misunderstood, and before you know it, things go too far. The city remembers how past rivalries brought nothing but pain and division, and nobody wants to watch that cycle play out again. To Finesse's credit, he's been honest about his own mistakes. He's admitted that his old mindset sometimes clashed with business, and that he's still learning how to handle success the right way. He's even said that Moneybagg tried to guide him and show him how to move smarter, he just wasn't ready to hear it at the time. That kind of self-awareness shows growth, even if the situation is still messy. At the same time, Finesse feels genuinely hurt. He feels like he gave real loyalty to someone who ended up seeing him more as a resource than a brother. He stood up for Bag when things got tense, spoke publicly when others stayed quiet, and did it because he believed they were family. But behind the scenes, he feels like business moves were being made without him, leaving him out of the picture. Now that the partnership is over, Finesse feels like he invested time and energy into something that didn't value him back. Time he could have spent building his own foundation sooner. From Moneybagg's side, you can also understand why he pulled back. He's protecting his brand, his business, and his peace in an industry that can flip overnight. Moneybagg has built a real empire, major deals, chart-topping records, and one of the strongest brands in hip-hop today. With that level of success, every move has to be calculated. From his perspective, he can't afford to keep unpredictable energy around what he's built. He's got too much at stake. But the way ties were cut, the lack of support, the public unfollowed, and the cold distance turned what could have stayed a brotherly disagreement into a full rivalry. Finesse felt betrayed, like someone he once called family left him out in the cold. And in a city like Memphis, when loyalty breaks, emotions run deep. Now this situation has gone way past regular rap competition. These are two men with strong roots, major influence, and a lot of pride, and that mix can be dangerous if it's not handled carefully. Memphis is a city built on passion and authenticity, and history has shown how fast tension can spread and affect everyone around it. One lyric, one bar, one misunderstanding can shift everything. People in the culture have seen this before, and nobody wants to see it end badly again. Too many talented artists have lost opportunities, or worse, because situations weren't checked in time. And what complicates it even more is that both sides have teams, fans, and people ready to ride for them, making it harder to cool things down once the fire starts. Right now, Finesse feels like he has nothing to lose. He's faced setbacks, lost deals, and rebuilt himself from the ground up. That kind of hunger makes someone relentless and focused on proving their worth. On the other side, Moneybagg has everything to protect his music, his brand, and his family. That pressure can force strong decisions, even if they create more tension. And that's where things get dangerous, because in a situation like this, there's really no winner. If it keeps escalating, it could spiral faster than anyone expects. At its core, this isn't just about two rappers trading shots. It's a bigger story about what happens when loyalty and business collide, when street values meet industry politics, when two brothers who came up together start seeing each other as competition instead of family. It shows how quickly pride and disrespect can turn something small into something serious, something that affects not just careers, but lives. The real question is, will someone step in and slow this down before it goes too far? Will cooler heads finally prevail? Or will Memphis lose more talent to unnecessary tension? Maybe it's time for the culture to ask itself when we stop glorifying conflict and start celebrating growth, accountability, and progress. Because seeing artists evolve together is way more powerful than watching them fall apart. Now I want to know what you think about this whole Finesse2Tymes and Moneybagg Yo situation. Did Finesse cross the line? Or could all of this have been avoided if pride didn't get in the way? Share your thoughts. This story is far from over.